Hello, beautiful light-filled souls. My name is Trisha Barker, and I am by the Trinity River here in Fort Worth, Texas. I wanted to answer a quick question from one of my viewers about why I think I was told to return to nature and remind others to return to nature during my near-death experience. And I think it is that nature resets our energy. It gives us great joy for life, and it switches bad moods. It's hard to be filled with stress and worry and pain while walking through a beautiful forest or sitting in the sunlight. People's mood just lifts in some way. So it's especially important in our digital age when we're also tied to our phones, our televisions, and so much media that we need a break. Well, we are reset by nature. We are different because of our time in nature, and healthier and more grounded and in touch with what we need to pay attention to and what we can not pay attention to. I also think on another level, I intuitively knew after my accident that I should eat very healthy, and I chose to eat a vegan diet. I mainly had fruit in the morning, so here I was in this body cast, and I'd wake up with a plate of fruit, maybe have a salad for lunch and some kind of soup for dinner, and I noticed that my body healed because of that. It healed a lot faster. Meditation and also paying attention to food. Now, I know veganism isn't for everyone, and I always tell my students that it doesn't matter that much what diet you choose, but common sense is to add as much organic fruit and vegetables to your diet as possible. And when you add enough goodness from the ground and from nature, then everything else kind of falls into place, because you're replacing sweets with more fruits, and you're replacing processed foods with more salads, and it's just life-giving and it's just energizing. And so that is one of the messages from the near-death experience. Today, though, I wanted to talk about why it is important to enjoy life. Now, last year, through my blogging and through a lot of talk, I was releasing a lot, and in this state of teaching others how to release some of the pain in their life too, and how I have released some of that pain, and how reaching out to others has been one of the greatest gifts and joys that I could ever imagine, because in the process of helping others, I have been so greatly helped. And so I wanted to encourage others to do this, to volunteer more, to offer their gifts to the world in a way that will help others and help this planet. I think this year is much more about celebration. So celebrating before the fact, celebrating just being alive. And I have to tell you that I was quite joyful about some aspects of being back in form. And I knew that my life was a gift in some ways that I didn't even appreciate before. And now I knew two things. I knew that this life is not all there is to life, that there is a life way beyond this physical life that I'm living out, and that was a huge gift. But I also knew that there are things about this life to enjoy and to have fun with and to take pleasure from. And that first milkshake that I had in the hospital was one of the best things I have ever experienced. It was like manna from heaven. So every time I pass a Jack in the Box, I kind of feel this nostalgia for that particular milkshake. Of course, during healing, I didn't have those, but my point of this is celebration is so important, and even celebration in the darkest of times. So I questioned if the angels were correct in their message that my body would heal after that accident. So my first step after 9 days in the hospital, and I was in this long body cast, was shocking. The pain was so intense. I felt as if pain radiated from the bottom of my feet all the way up through my head and just shot out and filled the room. I felt like my consciousness wasn't contained just in my body, that it filled up the hospital room and then the hallway that I had to shuffle down for a short while to prove to the nurses and doctors that I could stand on my feet and I could walk, and then I was released the next day from the hospital. But I have I felt like the little mermaid who had traded in her gorgeous fin, and I'd been swimming around in this beautiful cosmos beyond this particular life, and then suddenly I was back in form and I'd traded it for these swords that were just piercing my body with every step. Of course I got better, you know, and that happened over time. After a few months I was able to walk to the end of the street, and all the retired neighbors in that neighborhood of my mom and stepdad's house stood up and cheered for me. They had gotten to know me because I was this 22-year-old girl in a big old body cast and walking stick, and I looked kind of funny as I was stumbling down the street and trying to regain my strength, and they were happy for me, and that joy of theirs and that moment will always stand out in my mind, because I loved them by telling my story of the near-death experience and giving them peace about people in their lives who had died, and peace about the dying process themselves. And they had so many well wishes for me on my journey, and I felt it and I knew it. I felt their prayers, and it was such a gift. My point in this is change can be difficult, and that first step can feel as painful as my first step and after my accident, and it's okay. Just keep going and know that the pain is something that does leave you, and it gets easier and it feels more normal over time, and then you just step into this new way of being, and it's a beautiful experience. So I jokingly kind of titled this Party Girl of Spirituality, and why I did that is before my accident I truly was a party girl. You know, I was in college and definitely lost in the party scene of Austin, Texas, which years ago this Native American summed up Austin for me. He looked at me and he's like, "You're from Austin? Oh, there's a lot of sex and a lot of drugs in that town," and kind of laughed. And there's some truth to that. I think at any party university there is a certain vibe of freedom and no more repression, and, you know, let's have a good time, and some of that can be healthy fun, and other bits of it can be self-destructive. So after my near-death experience I wanted to hang on to the good elements of being a party girl. So we like people who are excited about life, who are like, "Oh my God, let's go to this concert, I love this band," or "Oh my God, this dinner is so great." And, you know, people who have excitement about things, like little children, are fun to be around. And I think that's mostly what I mean, is I want people to have more joy for simple things in their life, and to find ways to get out of patterns and stuck places, and simply enjoy this amazing world, both in the sense of nature, but also in the sense of learning new things and exploring this world, and really feeling how amazing it is to be granted this life, because it goes by in a short amount of time. It is over quickly, and I don't think that we take enough time to really stop and deeply appreciate our lives. I remember coming back to Austin and seeing so many people who were stressed and worried about something, and I could read it on their faces, and I just wanted to remind everyone that this is a good life. This is a beautiful life. It is meant to be enjoyed in any way that you can, whether that's just walking out to a park bench and sitting there in the sunlight and enjoying that moment fully. Whatever it is for you, do something every day to make yourself happy and to make yourself switch into the state of gratitude. There's so much research about why gratitude is important and how it can change your mindset, and I won't go into all of that. You can do that research on your own, but gratitude was one of the biggest gifts that I think I was given. I was grateful for every painful step, and that praise of every painful step led me on a much more beautiful journey than I had had before, because I was open and connected in ways that I hadn't been. The journey wasn't always easy, but I used that metaphor, and I used it at any time when there were dark times. That first step out of it was just earth-shatteringly hard. You know, it was not easy, but I kept going, and soon enough you're running and dancing and living in a new life and living an experience that is so much better than the life before. So I really encourage you to have fun with your spirituality, to have fun with your life, to be grateful for everything. even the painful moments, as hard as that is, because the more gratitude you pour into it, the quicker you're moving through it and the quicker you're getting to a new place. I also thought about this today because so much of life seems so serious, but I think what a lot of us really want to do is just connect with others, to have more fun in our life, to express more love, to feel more love, to feel more purpose in one's life. And if you are bringing joy to other people's lives and bringing love to their lives, then you are fulfilling a great purpose. So thank you for watching, and be sure to fill yourself with lots of goodness, whether that is good food, good healthy food, inspirational messages, time in nature. Be good to yourself. May you be blessed.